I see so many of y'all have joined. Why is your camera not on today? You don't want me to start today's session? Y'all don't want me to start, is it? Vineet, Vinayak, Ashish, Srinivas, Kushal, Rakhi, Priyanka. Where are you all? Who do I talk to? Okay. No one wants to put on your camera, is it? Where are you people? Come on. Or is it my camera problem? Or my vision problem that I'm not able to see you all? Okay. Finally, people are on camera. Great. Wonderful. Still, people are joining. Try to put on your camera, guys. Wonderful. So, good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'm again excited to see you all in today's session because today's session is going to completely shift how you think about leadership and communication. Okay. We are going to dig into the very core of leadership using communication as your most valuable asset. Now, if you're looking for a leadership role, if you're already in a leadership role, or simply if you're looking for a switch, if you're looking for a change, if you're looking for a new job, this topic is very important for each one of you. Why? I want you to think of communication as your most valuable currency in your leadership journey. Just like money is for business, communication is what makes your leadership work. It is as important as money is for your business. Money is the currency for your business, right? Or for any business for that matter. Similarly, communication is that for your leadership journey. Okay. Now, let me ask you some questions. I want you to take a pause for a moment and think about this. When was the last time your leadership was measured not by how much you knew, but how well you connected with others? I don't need an answer. I just want you to think about it. Okay. Now, leadership doesn't mean that you actually in a leadership role, right? How do you lead your work, your team, right? When you think of the greatest leaders, do you remember them for the decisions they made or for the way they made you feel inspired? Right? Have you ever considered that your ability to influence isn't tied with your title alone? It is tied with how effectively you communicate your values, your vision to the people. Now, these are not just questions about your strategy, about your role, your hierarchy, or it's not about your decision making ability. These are questions about leadership influence. And that influence comes from how well you communicate, how deeply you connect, and how you make others feel part of that something bigger. Yeah? In our last session, we talked about leveraging your communication power to lead, right? How many of you will remember that? Yes. And how owning your communication style can shift the way you interact in leadership roles, right? So today we are talking, or rather today we are taking that concept one step further by exploring how communication is not just a tool, but the currency of leadership. It's one you can exchange for anything you want in your career. Influence, recognition, new opportunities, growth, whatever. And you'll understand why communication is not just a skill, it's a universal currency. Now, why do I call communication a currency? Just like currency can be exchanged for goods, right? Communication can be exchanged for anything you need in your career. How many of you will agree to this? To build that trust with your team, to land that new job, to transition into a better role, anything. Communication is the tool that makes this exchange possible. With money, you buy things that improve your life. Correct? With communication, you buy influence, trust, and inspire action. It is that currency which allows you to exchange your ideas for the results. But there's an issue here. And most of you or most professionals don't realize the value of communication as currency. Why? Because we are busy focusing on the results. Because you are busy focusing on the technical skills. Because you are doing all the work yourself. But leadership is about getting results through others. With clear, confident communication, you ensure that you are not leaving anything on the table. Now, let me ask you all a question again. How many of you are individual contributors here currently? Raise your hands. I don't see. Okay. And how many of you have already transitioned into a managerial leadership role? Okay. Good. Now, whether you are leading a team or you are working alone on your own, many people do these mistakes and you do not realize that success. Now, why I'm saying, even if you're an individual contributor, because tomorrow or right now, probably you're looking to move into, to take that lead, right? You want to transition into a better role, correct? And people who are already into that role, many of them don't realize that your success as an individual contributor looks very different from your success as a leader. Do you all agree to this? As an individual contributor, your achievements are measured by what you can do. But when you step into that leadership role, it's no longer about what you accomplish alone. Leadership is about helping others succeed, guiding them, inspiring your team to reach their goals. And many do this mistake. When you move into a leadership role, you find yourself still working the way you used to do it before as an individual contributor, focusing on your own efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, success as an individual contributor was about what you could do. But does that approach work when you are leading others? It's a question I'm asking you. Does that same approach work when you are leading others? Yes or no? No, right? And this is what many of us do not understand. Many new leaders struggle with this. They still hold on to that old habits, thinking they can lead the same way they worked before. But leadership is different, as I said. It's not about what you can accomplish alone. It's about how you inspire and support your team to succeed. It's about shifting from me to we. I repeat, it's about shifting from me to we. You have been in a leadership position, but try to do everything yourself. You think that by producing more, you are proving your worth. Wrong. Because instead of leveraging your team's skills, you are still stuck proving your leadership abilities. Your team feels underutilized, disengaged. The currency of communication could have helped you delegate and inspire action. But you miss that. Now let's understand how communication becomes your leadership currency. Let's go a little more deeper, right? We do understand what's causing that problem, right? It's about using your communication to influence, to inspire, to build that trust with those around you. But there are these three pillars to this. Number one, trust. Number one is trust. Building trust. Trust is the foundation of leadership. And transparency is one of the strongest forms of leadership currency. Leaders who communicate openly about the challenges, about the success, about the wins, and the road ahead, the path ahead. They are the ones who build trust with their teams. And many leaders hesitate to share, to be transparent, because they fear it will make them seem low, it will make them seem weak or vulnerable. But that's not true. People trust leaders who share not just what's going well, but also about the roadblocks. Now, imagine you are leading a project, for instance, and you hit that roadblock, major roadblock. Instead of holding it or working on it alone, you communicate the issue to your team. You outline the steps that you are taking to solve that roadblock. Now, this transparency builds trust because your team knows you are not afraid to share the challenges, and you are also asking for their inputs. You are being transparent with your team because you are involving them as well in the solution, to finding the solution. The act of communication builds trust because your team sees you as an approachable and honest leader. Clear, everyone, with the first pillar? Shall we move ahead? The next one being credibility. Credibility through clarity. Because clarity is what gives you credibility. When your communication is clear and it's focused, people trust you as a leader. But what happens usually? As leaders, most of you, overcomplicate your message by sharing too many details. Why? Maybe you're trying to prove your knowledge. Yeah? How many of you will do that? Yeah? Natural. We tend to do that. Now, I want you to think about a time when someone over-explains their point. You're sitting and you're listening to somebody and someone is trying to over-explain their point. It's so overwhelming at times, right? By the end, you are not sure what your takeaway is. What did you understand? What did you get? What is it that you have to do from here onwards, right? Now, in contrast, if that same person who is talking states their point clearly and outlines the next steps in simple manner, in very simple terms, which leader do you trust more? Of course, the second one, right? So credibility through clarity. And the third pillar is inspire action. And how do you inspire action? Through connection. You've got to understand that people are not always motivated by numbers, right? They are inspired by emotion. And leadership communication is about connecting with your team on an emotional level, making them feel excited, confident, And that's how they are driven to achieve the vision that you set, the goals that you set. In your next meeting, instead of just delivering that numbers or those big fancy things, I want you to ask yourself, what do I want them to feel? What do I want them to feel? When you speak with emotion, now whether it's excitement, whether it's urgency, confidence, you inspire others to take action. And this is what is the three pillar. You build trust through transparency, credibility through clarity, and you inspire action with emotional connection. But there will be still some blocks. There'll be still some challenges, right? And how do we do this? Because most of you at times are hesitant to speak up, right? You struggle to keep your messages clear. And maybe you're unsure how to connect with people at emotional level. Let me tell you one simple thing here, and most important, these challenges can be overcome. And once you overcome these challenges, that transforms your leadership presence. Trust me on this. So what are these challenges? As I said, most or some of you are hesitant to speak up, right? In meetings, in interviews. Why? Because we fear, right? We fear we may not. Why? Because maybe you fear because you're not sounding polished, or you usually second guess your thoughts, your ideas, and that's why you don't speak up, right? But the cost of not speaking up is greater, far greater. And leadership requires you to take that risk. The next time you feel hesitant, remind yourself. Even if you're unsure, I want you to say, here's my suggestion on how to approach this issue. Frame your idea simply by saying, I believe this approach will help us achieve X because of Y. Even if it's not fully formed, even if you're unsure what you're saying may be right, maybe not as required. But it's better to contribute than to stay silent. And that's the risk you've got to take to evolve, to transform your leadership presence. With me, everyone, until now? Superb. When you overcomplicate your message, this is the other big mistake that most of you all do, right? When your message is too complicated, complex, because you overload your message with too much information. You want to sound knowledgeable. But in reality, what you're doing is you are confusing the people. Right? The more complicated you make it, the more you dilute the impact of that conversation, of that message. Simplify. Before you speak, ask yourself, what is that one thing I want to tell them to remember? Or sorry, what is that one thing I want them to remember? And just focus on that and let go of all unnecessary details. Failing to make an emotional connect. As people manager, as leaders, we often get stuck in the data, right? In the result. And we forget that people need to feel something to be motivated, right? People need to feel something to get motivated. And that's how they inspire to take action. Do you want your audience to feel excited, confident, driven? Make sure your voice, your body language conveys that energy. People remember how you make them feel more than the words you say. And that sticks. That inspires them. That drives them to take action. So are we clear with how to build trust by being transparent? How to have that clarity by not overcomplicating your message? Through clarity, right? And how to inspire action by making that emotional connection with the people. Now let's take a step back. Communication is not just a soft skill. I repeat, it's a universal currency. And that's where I began today's session from, right? Why? Because that allows you to buy trust, that allows you to buy credibility, that allows you to buy influence. Communication is your leadership currency. Simple. It's how you influence others, how you build trust, it's how you inspire action. Wherever you are, whether you are in an interview, whether you are leading a team, whether you are preparing for your leadership role, the next big role, the next immediate role, how you communicate will define your success. With communication, you lead any team, any situation, any room. And here's the task after today's session. Take just 10 minutes to reflect on your recent conversation where you could have probably communicated more effectively, right? I want you to write down what you would have said differently using today's principles. Pillars: trust, clarity, emotional connection, right? Transparency, clarity, and emotional connection. I want you to apply this in your next conversation, in your next meeting, in your next interview. We'll do that. Are we clear on the pillars? Super. So leadership is not just about getting results. It's about influencing others to achieve those results with you. It has a whole depth of meaning. Influencing others to achieve results with you. And communication is that currency which makes it happen. On that note, I believe you'll take 10 minutes to reflect upon what I said, right? And that will help you to work on your next conversation, in your next meeting or interview, whatever, right? And tomorrow, 1st October, 8 p.m., we have this hot topic to attend. Behave like and become executive using AI by none other than Vamsi. Yes? So see you all tomorrow sharp at 7:55. Don't be late. Yeah? Join the WhatsApp community in case you are a first-time attendee. Then please join the WhatsApp community. This is where you'll get all our daily session details. Facebook community to download the session learning materials, PDF, checklist, everything. And share this LinkedIn post within your circle and spread this message to everyone around you to join our daily sessions at 8 p.m. Crisp, short, and to the point. 30 minutes dot. Yes? Superb. Have a great, lovely evening. See you all tomorrow again in another knowledgeable session. Good night. Take care.